All right. Good morning, everyone. Uh, First of all, I just had a birthday. Woo! So, and what was good about that was that I realized what was that? I did have a few margaritas. But what was good about that is that you have to realize you're loved by a lot of people, right? So it was overwhelming at some point, you know, because we all want that. And then it leads to the point that, okay, if I really love myself, then, I don't need that, but it's always good to hear that. So, and then I wanted to thank everybody I went out, and I think I did it individually as well, because for somebody to take their time to reach out to you is big, right? They could be doing something else. So I'm thankful lots of times over. And then I got these notes, but I don't even know why I ever have notes. I never get to them. I was sitting in my pyramid yesterday. I had this whole thing in my head. I'm going to talk about sacred geometry and Rennes le Chateau and pyramids and all kinds of stuff. And I sat in that pyramid, and it was, nope, you're going to talk about DNA. I was like, I already did that. You're going to talk about DNA. And so I gave in. So the words that came out were DNA. The other word was awareness, right? And then quantum, it's going to say quantum came out, quantum theory, quantum physics, whatever that. So I'm going to try to roll that up into a little ball. And I don't want to go too long because I'd like to entertain some questions. But awareness is a big thing because people talk about all the upcoming changes and ascension and all that, and it seems like it's this huge thing that we got to study for 20 years to get to. But it really is just about awareness. Some things we don't know about that we just need to be aware of. And then once you're aware of these things, then it's like, oh, you understand them. It's almost like you're going into a library, right? And there's thousands and thousands of books, and then you go in and you say, I want to read that book, that orange book, and you go in and you're working with that orange book. Yet, all the books you are aware of, right? All the books you're aware of. It's just that you chose to focus on that one book, right? And then to talk about a quantum theory, and this is where I come from mostly now, is that once you're in the library and you start looking at this book, and you come back out and you go into another book, and you come back out and you keep doing this lives and lives and lives. And at some point you realize that you are the library. You are the library. That's what quantum physics means. You are aware of everything. That's all that means. When quantum comes up, we talk about physics and mathematics, but that's all that is. It's like you're aware of all these other things that are happening right now. That's all that is. It's like the soup. You can't take the flavor out of the soup because it's all entangled. Right? That's what the quantum theory is. Everything is entangled and relating to everything else. And that's all that really is in a nutshell what the quantum theory is. Right? And so, and I'm seeing it playing out over my life, and where more people are coming aware of these things. Like when I started doing my research on my studies, we're talking about probably the 90s, let's say. So I've been doing this stuff for like 30 years, right? And this book is about the 12 layers of DNA. This is by Crayon, right? The 12 layers of DNA. We all should have this in our library. And I read this book, and I'm going through it. You see all the notes. I played with this book lots and lots and lots. But and I've been studying this for a long time. So way back in the day, there weren't very many opportunities to learn this information, right? There was Crayon, there was Abraham, and there were, a few other people, the Law of One, right? There were a few people that were giving this information. Now, 30 years later, there are many, many more mediums, channels, now repeating this information. Like, I've heard this information, but I didn't really hear it from many people. So now, in what I call the future, now there are lots of these people out there, right? And I can see even 20 years from now, there'll be many, many more doing this channeling or being aware of all this stuff, including all you right here. Right? And so I used to sit and study and think, man, why am I doing all this studying and all this stuff? And so it was supposed so I can share this with you. Right? And so sometimes I want to be fundamental because I want my kids to be able to understand what I'm saying, and my kids' kids. So my task is to be able to relate it so that they can understand. Because that's our future, right? And so we want them to be aware of all these things that, that we, as we were growing up, we weren't aware of, right? So there's some names I want to throw out there really quick that got me to this point here. And these are young people that are saying these things that I knew and believed 20 years ago, right? And I was like, and it would be like, have you ever heard of Crayon? And they're like, oh, no, I've never heard of Crayon. But they're doing the same thing Crayon was talking about 20 years later. They're doing that now. Names and these people, you can go on YouTube and pull up their names and get some information, because my container can't hold all the information and spit it out in 20 minutes, right? Ethan Fox, right? He has a show called Awaken and Empower TV. That is a good place to start if you want to learn, because what he does is he interviews all different kinds of people, different modalities, different healing modalities, all different kinds. Ethan Fox, and there's a lady with him whose name is Michaela Sheldon, and she does channeling, right? And I learned a lot from them, but again, it's like I've heard this before. They're just repeating things. Right? And so to me, they're just more aware now than we were back then. Awareness again. And so there are some other people, Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, very good person to learn about. She talks about the cosmology of the universe and astrology and astronomy and all that, and takes you down a different path. Eisenhower should be familiar. That was, I think, the president's great-granddaughter, I think. Right? Mm-hmm. Good name to know. And she's connected, and some of these people are connected in some ways that we wouldn't be connected where we are. Another person is David Wilcock. Right? He has a few books out there. Ascension Mysteries. There are a whole load of them. But these, you can listen to them and get what you need from them. All this is going to lead to DNA and quantumness and all that. And then there's a couple that come behind him, a couple of people, Corey Good, William Tompkins. And so you want to start searching out some of these people for information, right? So much comes to me. Everybody has different perspectives. And you want to feel out this information and take what you need, right? I can't stress that enough. You got to do your own research, right? I come here and I throw information at you only in the hopes that you can go and search some more. Not that I want to change you into something else, but that you would go and be like, oh, that sounds interesting, or that's a load of crack, whatever it is. It's just to get you to go out and do your own research, right? So you can, because I can read a book, and you can read a book, and I guarantee we'll come up with different conclusions, or even reading a page or a chapter, right? And so I want to throw those names out there because I respect those people, right? And then, so I have a little disclaimer, really, is that I take full responsibility for everything I say up here, right? I take no responsibility for whatever you do with this information, right? If you think good, good things happen. If you think negative, negative things happen. That's what I'm saying, okay? So I just want to talk about DNA really quick. Probably going to be the shortest lecture ever, but I say that every time. And I want to talk about DNA because as time goes on, again, I saw DNA back 20 years ago. Now there's much more information about DNA. What you'll hear about DNA is that there is 3% is good DNA, and 97% is junk DNA. And you'll hear that a lot. That come out of the Human Genome Project, where they try to map the DNA. You know, what you look like, how tall are you, why your eyes this color, you know, and through your family and all that. 3%, that's 3%. And so they're saying that 97% is junk DNA. And it is only junk DNA because they don't know how it works, right? We are physical people in a 3D world, and we have 3D instruments. So if your DNA is multidimensional or spiritual, you can't see it. And so we don't know how it works, so we call it junk DNA. That's the scientific way they call it, junk DNA. And so what I understand about DNA is that they can be, you know, some people say there are 12 layers of DNA. Some people say there's 24. Some people say there are 144, right? Me right now, I'm dealing with 12-strand DNA. And then, and as I was listening to this in my head yesterday, it was like, so this is 12-strand DNA, but you are only part of the big puzzle. So there could be more. I'm just focusing on 12 right now because that's my reality. That's my ceiling for right now. And I'm sure it will pop open later on. But I got to understand 12 before I can talk about understanding 24 or 144. Right? So DNA is very important. And then they are over 3 billion particles in each molecule of DNA. That's 1,000 million, 1,000 million parts of one molecule of your DNA. Just one. And so we're made up of lots and lots and lots of those. You can take one molecule of your DNA and rebuild you. Right? We agree? We can take, they're doing it now with tomatoes and all that stuff. Right, exactly. They can take a piece of you and create a whole you out of one strand of your DNA. Right? So there's lots and lots of those. And then there was something, I don't even remember if I'll get this right, where it says that one strand of your DNA can store as much information as all the computers on the planet. So there's lots and lots and lots of information in your DNA. So we need to realize there are more than, there's more than 3% there. And so we as a human being, how do I want to say this? We are somewhat, all right, so there's, we as a human being, we are like this, how do I want to say it? We are like this space shuttle, right? All these wonderful parts, and we push it around. because we don't know how it works, right? That 3% is run by the 97% in the background. It has to do with your family, all your potentials, everything you were, everything you're gonna be, it's filled with lots and lots of information, right? And so we need to understand that this thing is like the best machine ever, right? I was also reading that they were. So how many types of dogs are there? Hundreds and hundreds. How many types of cats? All different kinds, hundreds and hundreds. Birds, trees. How many types of humans are they? Really? Just kind of one, right? There used to be 17 different types until sometime back in the day, there was some changes to our DNA that now we are the only human moving forward, right? I don't want to go into all that. You got to research this up and look it up and see, right? So there's something about us that's very important. There's something about us that other people are watching to see what we do, right? People from all over the place. When I say all over the place, I mean all over the place, all over the planet, all over the planets, all over the universe, right? Because we have this thing that most other humans didn't have, right? Science is calling it, I just watched this. Spirit plays with me all day, every day. I was just watching this where it's where we are, it's called the God Code. But I heard that word before. Where they went through all the particle testing and then they found this piece and they're calling it the God Code. We call it spirit, or we call it soul, or we call it angel, or we call it whatever. This finite piece, And again, machines are limited. And so at some point, this came out of that super collider where they crash the atoms into one another, and then they see what happened. And it's like, oh, there's these things happening that we didn't know were happening, that always were happening, but now we got a machine that can see. And at some point, there'll be another machine, and they realize, oh, there's more other things out there, right? At some point, the machines will be a little more spiritually based. Then they'll be able to say, you'll have a watch on. All right, I'll go there. Okay, so we have iPhone 10. Didn't mean to drop you off. We have iPhone 10 now. Just comprehend iPhone 20. What will that machine do? Right? Just think of flip phones, or think of the radio on the wall to now. What will that do? You'll have it on, it'll be smaller. They're getting smaller and smaller, right? You'll have it on your hand, and it will say, oh, your blood pressure is up. You need to do this and this and this and this, right? So it will be a lot more information, and you won't have to be poked because you are a ball of energy, and the machine will be able to read your energy. It's following us as a human being, because right now, who else can look at somebody and see colors? Right? We call it an aura. We call it all different kinds of names. Right? Human beings can do that. Machines can't do that yet. We're spiritually based. They're not yet. They're getting that way. Right? They're slowly getting that way. Somebody is trying to hold it back where we go from iPhone 10, 11, 12, 13 so they can play the games in between, where there's already an iPhone 20. There's already an iPhone 20. And there are also machines or pads that has all the information about this planet we live on and other planets already. It's already invented, right? And so you got to watch for these things. So again, we're the ones creating all these machines. And they're all based on us, really, if you go back and look. right? Everything is based on the creator, right? We're trying to get a better computer. We're the best computer. We are the best computer ever, right? We can store information, we can retrieve it, spit it out. And so all these other machines are following this one, the best computer ever made, right? I can't say that enough. Everything is going to follow this. Whatever we invent, right, will have something to do with us, right? So, and all this is housed in your DNA, right? So most people now, when I say DNA, you're thinking somewhere, whereas I'm thinking DNA inside, right? And then once you realize that kind of like you are the library, then you'll be able to say, oh, well, I can fix myself. If you don't understand that everything about you is in your DNA, then you won't think that you can fix yourself. That's what happens to like spontaneous healing and stuff. Somebody got to the point where they're like, I'm done. And then it's like, oh, they're healed. Because they went to this portion inside and they said, okay, I can do this. Or they give up. People say, let go and let God. They let go, and then they let the DNA do what it's supposed to do, recreate. Right? So you can go into your DNA. Because again, it's quantum. You can talk to it. That's going to be the next thing you'll start hearing more about. You can talk to your DNA. And you can say, okay, your DNA knows what is optimum health. And you can say, I want optimum health. And it will be as easy as that, right? I want optimum health. And you will appear to other people like, oh, it's a miracle, but it's not a miracle. You just realize I am in control of myself. And we say that all the time in different ways. You are in control of everything that happens to you, happened now, will ever happen. Everything. And it goes all the way back to your DNA that knows everything about you, right? And we can break down DNA to different levels. There's lots of hidden stuff, even as far as you being taught about who you are really, right? When I say 666, what comes to mind? The devil. And if somebody tells you about the devil, what's the first thing you will do? You'll go in the other direction, right? I go towards it, right? Because if I add 666, I get 18. 8 and 1 is 9. It's a very important number in numerology. No other number, if you can multiply or divide it by itself, comes out to 9. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. 7 2 is 9. To the whole deal. So there's something great about 9 already. I don't care what number you add up, it's going to break down to 9. And 9 is the part where you start over, like completion, right? But people don't want you to know about this. So I'm going to add up the DNA, these 12 first. So, and they're broken down into 4 sections, right? 1, 2, 3. That equals 6, right? Yes? 4, 5, 6. You add all those up. That comes out to 6, right? 7, 8, 9. You add those numbers up. Those come out to 6, right? And then the last 4, 10, 11, 12, those come out to 33. 33 sounds like a good number. That's one of those Masonic numbers, high-level numbers. Peter knows about that, right, Peter? Yeah. Yeah, so we don't break that down. What is that number called where you don't break them down? Prime. Not a prime number, but it's almost like angel numbers. You see 11, 11, 12, 12, right? You don't break those down.
Least common denominator?
No, it's a different word they call them. Anyway, it's one of the ones you don't break them down. So you got 666 and 33. That's your DNA. That's the numbering of your DNA, right? Almost the mark of the beast, but it's not the mark of the beast. That is the numbering of your DNA. And you need to look at it if you want to grow above this box that they got us in. Right? So anything they tell you is bad, you want to look at it and verify. Right? Most people will turn away because this, and I have friends do it to me, 666, I'm out. Right? But I don't even see 666. I see 9. 3 times 6 equals 18. 8 and 1 is 9. That's what I see. Right? And so there's some concerted effort to keep you from realizing this magnificent thing within you. And I always come back to this point. DNA brings me here, we all need to check on those things. And then once you start checking on those different levels of DNA, those different groups of DNA, you realize that some of those levels are connected to other places, right? Like the healing layer is connected to Lemuria, or the Lemurians, right? And the Lemurians are connected to the Pleiadians, right? So you, right now as a human being, are connected to the Pleiadians. Because in your DNA, you're connected to the first person ever. You have all the information in your DNA because it can hold a lot of information. You have all of the information with you, right? That's why some kids will wake up and play the piano 3 years old like they're 50, like they're seasoned, because they're tapping into some portion of their DNA that they used to do that already. It's already done. They're already an artist already. We're just stepping into this other place and pulling that information from your DNA. And we all can do that. Right? Lucy, the first one, I'm sure there's more before that we haven't found yet. Right? We have all that information available to us. How are you going to get to it? You're going to have to be aware that it is possible. That's the first thing. Be aware that it is possible. And then that you have a direct connection to that information in your DNA. Right? So we're talking that you can meditate, relax, and ask for assistance. Because you're connected to everything else. Right? We all have to remember that. And it's you don't have to have a degree to get all this stuff. Right? It set us where we were, where life works is you got to do this and this and this and this and this and this, which is linear thinking, which is the opposite of quantum thinking, right? Where you can go here and then you can go here, because it's not linear, not 1, 2, 3. You're right. You can jump to any point you want to. Almost like linear means 1 and 1 equals 2. Right? Quantum means 1 and 1 never equals 2, because on a certain level you have, like, this is my sister, so 1 and 1 equals 2. But on a quantum level, I have people with me, she has people with her, and so 1 and 1 is not equal to 2. 1 and 1 equals a whole different number. That's how you understand quantum physics, right? And even in your relationship with somebody else, it's just you two, but it was never you two. Like, it was never you. You were just one little iteration of this mass thing, right? You want to talk about angels? The angel is you, another part of you, another quantum piece of you. We can call it angels, we can call it guides, we can call it spirit, we can call it God, we can call it whatever it is. That's you that you're praying to. We call it names and stuff, which is fine, but at some point, you are the library. Sometimes it's hard for me to say, yeah, you are God, but you're made in the image. The bird looks like the mother bird, right? So, and that comes from the DNA. Right? So we all have all this information that people don't want us to know about. And again, it's up to you to know about it. The information is out there, and it's been out there. Right? I got to Austin in 1992 or something like that. And then I started seeking what's wrong with me, and then I got into all this information like, oh, fix you and everything else is fixed. Right? Love you and everything else is loved. If you don't have that, then that's where all the other issues come in. You try to get the love from somebody else because you don't feel it for whatever reason. Not good or bad, you don't feel it, so you go get it somewhere else. And that doesn't work, you try to get it somewhere else. And people do that for all their life or all their lives until somebody comes along and like, oh, that's what love is. Oh. And their whole life changes. If you change right now, it changes everything that you were. So when you start fixing yourself, you start fixing everything that you were and everything that you will ever be. And then in your DNA, you're fixing some of your family issues when you fix your stuff right now. And everything goes forward, changes because you fix yourself right now. I understand. I love myself more than anything, right? Even if you are abused, at some point you have to be like, let me visit this, right? I'm not at fault. Let me forgive myself and let me move forward. If anything comes up, it's just so you can look at it and work through it. And then you're okay. If you skirt around it, it will play games and it will, when you get around the next corner, you will be waiting for you. Because you can't get away from you. What happens to you is with you no matter where you go. Wherever you go, there you are. That's the saying. So it means that if you don't fix yourself and you try to run from the things you did, they'll be there when you get to the next corner. Wherever you go. And then once you fix them, or you at least just are aware of them, then you move through it. Right? In shamanic school, we call those ghosts, because once you start looking at these things, it's like, why is this happening to me? I could go another route and like, oh. But once you start, why is this happening to me? And then I realized I had something to do with that. And so going forward, that never happened to me again because I knew I had something to do with that. But if I never looked at it and I kept blaming everybody else for all the things happening to me, then I would never be where I am today. Right? And so you are the core of everything about you. You got to understand. And all this stuff is, once you understand this, there's no magic anymore. Everything seems like it's magic or something. But once you start looking at it and are aware of all these other things around, then it's like, oh, this is just natural law. It's not magic. Right? Okay. Thank you, notes. I didn't look at you, but hopefully I got through all of them. Any questions that come up right now? No?
Did you know that, you were talking about the number 9, do you know the thing with your fingers?
Mm-mm.
Hit 9. So hold your hands up.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to do, and you got it left to right. And you want to do a 9 times 3. 1, 2, 3. What is being called a 27?
Oh, say that again now?
So what's on one side?
This the side, huh?
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, the third finger, hold it down.
This one,
And then what's being held up?
7.
27.
Times tables.
Uh-huh.
How do you know your 9 times table?
Oh.
You go,
9, 18,
so 9 is
27,
not only is it
36.
special.
Oh, wow.
3 is with your
Really?
self.
Yeah, 81.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Mhm.
Oh, cool. How we learned the 9 times table back home. This is in Barbados. We had these books, and on the back, all the tables were written out. 1 times 1, 1 time. We had those, yeah. That's how we remember. So again, so now we're moving from this to this.
Well, this is, so
Yeah,
Get over our fingers.
right. Yes, there's so much amazing stuff about being a human being. It blows my mind, right? Or what I usually say, it resets my button. It hits my reset because it's like, now that I didn't know that right there, it's like, and I know I don't know everything, but it's like, oh man, now you can blow my mind again. I got to go back and rethink and right. And those are good things. Those moments that blow your mind or hit your reset button. Everything you taught was true is not. Right? There's so many other things going on. Too much to count. Right? Too much to count. Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
I'm just going to say one thing. A very good presentation.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
The best part of it was to see the joy in your face. You were just.
I love this stuff.
Yes.
I love it's. Thank you for saying that because I can't see me. What I can feel is that, and Yvonne took a picture of me in the sitting in the pyramid, and then my spirit guide is projected in the window of the neighbor's house. Right? I think she's gonna post a picture, but I just know that I'm connected to this awesome library, and I go up there and I was like, I want to bring everything back. So it's like, how come everybody doesn't know this? But to me, the important thing is that I am for the layman, laywoman, who didn't go to school, didn't finish school, have to work 3 jobs, and all their kids. That's what I'm about. The people that are degreed and all that, I am to explain. I'm going to take this information from the library and draw it through me for my kids and my kids. And when I say my kids mean your kids as well. When I say my sister, my biological sister, that also means my sister. And my sister I had before her. Right? And so we're all connected. And so thank you for sharing that. First time I've heard that one. Thank you. Okay. Finish?